Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about protecting yourself. And I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that kind of thing. And as you know, I've been doing my personal development thing. I've been researching just a lot about energy, what it is, where it exists in my life and in the lives of others, and how we use it. And I've come across a lot of really amazing information, amazing books, podcasts, texts, scientific articles, and things of that nature. And one thing that I'm realizing is that I have gone the majority of my life without protecting myself energetically. And what I mean by that is that I allow things to happen in my life, or I allow certain situations to throw me off. I allow myself to be vulnerable in situations that could be potentially dangerous. And I didn't really realize the seriousness of it until I started studying these things and, just kind of learning more about the world and the non physical world. So I wanted to make this video just to kind of bring awareness to it and just share my story in hopes that maybe other people will see this and then just start considering protecting yourself more. And I've talked about this on my Instagram a little bit, but ever since I've been outside more, you know what I'm saying? I lost some weight. I put, effort into my appearance. I like to go to social events more. I like to go out. I want to connect with others. I've noticed that sometimes I'll get put in a situation where I feel like energetically I'm vulnerable. And I can give a few examples. I talked about this on my Instagram a little bit. Now I want to bring it here. But in the past few weeks, there have been so many situations where I will be out doing something, talking, just making polite conversation like with a stranger or with somebody in the area, or, just opening myself up more to exchanges with other people. And there have been so many times where I've felt violated, so many times where I've been asked certain questions that just seem off and seem weird. So many times where I've been like physically blocked from being able to like leave a space or move because another person is trying to, I don't know, like just have an exchange with me. And it's something different. It's something new. Like I was not taught about energy at all growing up. I was not taught about how to protect myself. And I've always been, I feel like, a very friendly social person ever since I was younger. I've always loved people, talking with people. And I feel like I've carried that into my adulthood as well. And, despite traumatic experiences, life experiences, negative experiences, I'm still finding my way back to still being that person who's open to talking and connecting with others. But sometimes there will be people who will try to attack, might be too strong of a word for me to use. I don't know if that's the word that I want to use, but there will be people who will try to infringe upon your free will, infringe upon you as a person, and who will try to take your energy and manipulate it. And you really have to be careful about that, because when you are progressing in life, when you're on your personal development journey, when you're learning things, when you're opening yourself up to more possibilities and different ideologies, there are negative people and entities out there that will try to take advantage of that. So in those situations, like specifically where I would be having a conversation with, a stranger, making small talk, being polite, sometimes I would find myself in a conversation that I really wasn't comfortable with. Or the example that I have is that I was in the bathroom once, washing my hands. Somebody walked in and they made polite conversation and they asked me where I was from. And something in my gut just said, don't answer that question. You don't have to answer it. And normally I'm the type of person where it's like, I used to answer everything honestly, wear my heart on my sleeve, give out all my information, like obviously not sensitive information or personal information, but when strangers would ask me questions, I would just answer it honestly because I didn't think that anybody had any malicious intent, or, I didn't see any harm in it. But something was telling me, like, don't answer that. You don't have to answer it. So I didn't answer it. And then this person literally asked me 5, 6, 7 more times where I was from. And it's just like, why do you want to know so badly? Like, why is me saying where I'm from so important to this conversation that's not even about that? It was just like weird vibes. So I'm glad that I didn't answer and that I listened to my gut. And that was really like the first example of me standing my ground and like protecting myself, because you don't owe strangers, especially, anything. You don't owe anybody anything, but even a stranger, like, don't feel obligated to help somebody out or to make conversation with someone or to make things more comfortable for another person when you're uncomfortable. And that, again, that's just something that I didn't learn like growing up, and that I'm learning now, and that I'm practicing now. And it is tough. Like I don't like awkward situations. I get secondhand embarrassment sometimes. And I feel like, I have like had a people pleasing aspect about me a little bit. So whenever I was in uncomfortable positions, I would automatically think about the other person, how they felt, how what I was saying or doing was making them feel. But now I'm like, wait a minute, like, how do I feel? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really the important part here. So that was one example. Another example was I was in a store one time, just doing like regular shopping. And this person, I could notice that they were kind of following me around the store, like not following, but like lingering and looking. And every aisle I would turn, they would kind of be there. That is the definition of following. So I guess they were following me. And so I turn onto one aisle, and then they happen to be there. So they come up, they make conversation, ask me questions. And then I just didn't feel like talking. Like, I'm just grocery shopping. I don't feel like making conversation anymore. So I try to leave. I try to move out of the aisle, continue my shopping. And they kept trying to block my way and like make more conversation. And it's just like, it was really awkward, really good. Like, I had to actually stand my ground and say, okay, hey, like, I actually need to finish shopping. So excuse me. Like, I had to stop like the nice girl act and the smiling and laughing when you're uncomfortable thing, and really just say, hey, like, you're in my way. I need you to move. And I think that this is common for a lot of people. I get that not everybody is like super reserved or shy or has trouble with this, but for the people that do, like, really stand your ground. And if you get a weird vibe, a weird feeling, don't force yourself to overlook it. Like, don't force yourself to ignore your gut or a feeling that you have about somebody, because it's probably true, especially with a stranger. Like, you most likely are going to gain nothing from giving a stranger your time and your energy. So don't feel like you're obligated to make polite conversation and small talk and answer every question, even if it's invasive. Like, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's another way that you need to protect your energy. When somebody is prying, asking questions that they don't really need to know the answer to, when people are physically blocking you from leaving a space or from moving from a space. And then another way to protect your energy, or that another way that you need to protect your energy, is what I've found is that sometimes, especially on my journey as I'm changing, I'm not the same person that I was 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago, right? So I find sometimes in my interactions with friends or family members who have known me my entire life, that my energy will be manipulated by them, or I'll allow myself to be manipulated by their energy. And it's very apparent now, like if I'm out with friends or with family members, let's say we go to a restaurant and the service isn't that great, then they start complaining and they start nitpicking everything, and then they start talking about it, complaining about it, and wanting me to stoop to their level of dissatisfaction or discomfort, even if I don't really care, or even if I understand that it's not that big of a deal. People have off days, everything won't be perfect. So I've found that sometimes people will try to manipulate your energy, and I think I talked about this in another video about emotional control. But sometimes people will subtly or not so subtly, like I said, try to manipulate your energy, and they'll try to get you to be upset when they're upset, or they'll try to get you to be angry when they're angry, or they'll try to tell you how you should feel when you're an able-bodied grown adult that can decide how they want to feel for themselves. So yeah, that's a major thing that I'm really starting to notice, and I'm really starting to like just push back on. I'm just like, if I don't think things are a big deal, if I'm in a conversation that I really don't care for or want to be in, like, I've kind of stopped with like the niceties and the, polite responses. Like, sometimes I'll just completely check out, because in those situations where you have someone who is constantly trying to fight for your attention and your energy, if you keep entertaining that, it only takes from you. And so since I've stopped, the niceties and the being like polite out of obligation, I've just found that it's better for me, like mentally and emotionally. And it was hard at first, I'm not gonna lie. I felt bad at first. I felt like awkward. I felt like the other person was awkward. Again, I'm thinking about their feelings and their thoughts before I think about my own. But now I've just stopped caring, and I've had many like epiphanies and many moments where I'm just like, I don't have to feel this way. Like, if I feel awkward, or if I feel like a burning sensation, like, say something, make it more comfortable, don't embarrass them. I just tell myself, like, actually, I don't have to feel like this. Like, I could just not care. And I know that it might sound mean or insensitive or narcissistic or whatever people want to call it, but at the end of the day, it's like, you're not obligated to anybody, period. It doesn't matter. You're not obligated to anyone at all. So that's really what I'm leaning into for the remainder of this year and the remainder of my life. Because like I said, I'm really tired of going places and doing things and feeling like sometimes people are trying to manipulate or trying to, you know what I'm saying, just get something from me. Like I'm really not into that feeling anymore right now. And it's a muscle that you have to build up. It's something that I need to practice. And as I've been practicing it, I've been getting better and better and better. Like I feel less bad. If a stranger asks me an invasive question or if somebody says something that's just really inappropriate, I don't laugh it off politely anymore. I'm literally looking at them like, are you good, bro? Like, what are you doing? And I don't feel bad for making people feel weird for their weird ass comments anymore. Like, I just don't, you know what I'm saying? So I'm very excited about that. I feel like I've stepped into a new era of my womanhood, because I think part of just figuring out who you are and part of knowing who you are is really being able to stick up for yourself and stand for what you believe in and hold firm boundaries. Like, I really think that boundaries help protect you. They help keep you safe. They help you with communication. Others know what lines that they can cross and what lines that they can't cross. So all of this is just to say that protecting yourself, protecting your energy, protecting yourself spiritually, all that stuff is really only going to benefit you. Like, it's never going to do anything negative to your life. It's never going to set you back in life. It's only going to make you better. So if you've been feeling that way, I definitely suggest doing that. I suggest starting small if you're scared or if you're nervous, but just build up that muscle, because you deserve to be comfortable and you deserve to choose who and what you give your time, attention, and energy to. So thank you guys for watching. If you watched this far, I appreciate you so much. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. If you feel what I'm saying, let me know below. I love reading your comments. If you have any input, any discussion points, or anything else, a different perspective that you want to provide, let me know too, because I love that as well. And I'll see you guys at the next video. Bye.